This overweight loser described me as a gun YouTuber who's been accused of threatening.
This is one of the most mind-numbingly bad videos I've seen in a very long time.
The only thing you can gather is that he's a fascist. This guy sucks.
In praise of shadows. Please, I would love to have a conversation with you, okay? Trust me, I will not act in bad faith or in any, mischievous ways. I genuinely just would like to talk with you. Not even necessarily about the drama I'm about to kind of, unpack a little bit, but I would like to, just spark a conversation. As a guy who hangs around the commentary scene, but also I think kind of understands what might have gone through your head as, someone who has also created, I guess, very negatively framed hit pieces or whatever you would say. I think that we might have a lot to kind of discuss, and I think it might be even therapeutic in some ways. So, with that being said, in praise of shadows, this individual is someone who we've been talking about a decent amount on my stream, which if you didn't know that I stream, you should join my Discord because you'll get pinged every time I'm live. But yes, we've been kind of unpacking what exactly Mr. In Praise of Shadows has been up to. In fact, I even contributed to his Patreon in order to see an update. And the update was actually a little bit concerning, but it's now less concerning given that he has actually successfully uploaded. But basically, he lives in Asheville, North Carolina, he says, and unfortunately his area was hit extremely hard by the recent hurricane, okay? Now, he has this big post that I did read on one of the past streams. He'll be back soon, though. That's basically the cliff notes of, I guess, what we wanted to know. And I was basically just trying to see, like, what happened to our boy Zane in Praise of Shadows? And so, Mr. Zane has officially returned. He came back, in my opinion, with a fucking bang, which is respectable, and it is probably the best way to come back after what I would describe as annihilation. I have never seen somebody get pummeled to the ground that mercilessly. Now, of course, there is absolutely a basis for that pummeling, okay? And Zane himself has seemingly admitted this. I'll stop calling you Zane now. I don't know if it's weird to hear your name. It's weird for me. So he uploaded to his second channel a video called Clearing the Air. On top of that, okay, he also uploaded a little video with a runtime of almost 6 hours, The Filthy Life of John Waters. Now, that's impressive. To make a video that is 6 hours in length with a decent amount of editing throughout, that is a feat, in my opinion. Not that many people in this life understand what it feels like to work on a project for, a very long amount of time, and it has such a runtime. It's a very particular type of person who can dedicate that much of their life to, especially if they're analyzing, one person. You have my kudos, my respect for that. This video, Clearing the Air, I reacted to a little bit of it last week. To really briefly summarize it, our boy is back, and he's going to be uploading to his second channel, and he's going to be saving his main channel basically for his magnum opuses. And he feels like he did fuck up. He basically kind of admits that when it came to his conservative horror movies video, where he, for the last, hour or so, basically framed our boy Wendigoon as a little gooner, as basically a far-right extremist in a sense, a person who is a net negative to society, who is an enemy to the left at the very least. And effectively, it was a weird hit piece tacked on at the end of a video about conservative people in horror movies, effectively, or conservative messages. We will react to a little bit of this, but it seems like our boy is doing pretty well now. It seems like he has acknowledged that when he made that video that he got absolutely dunked on for, he was in a worse place. And it is reflected, in my opinion. Now, there's a couple things that are just straight up cope, in my opinion, that I disagree with. in regard to what he says, but it's not that deep, okay? I will go through it though, of course. So, here we go. Basically, he says he wanted to give himself time to reflect because he believes that any apology that comes out immediately after a controversy is just disingenuous. It's just damage control because you didn't actually have any time to correct whatever the opinion or action that you did that you're apologizing for now, right? Like you're only apologizing because of the reaction, which I think is coherent and respectable. Basically, he said, I'm just going to take some time and actually kind of digest what the hell this was. Because, yeah, I mean, the man experienced a pretty unique scenario. All of commentary. Anyway, there's one thing that he said. Let's see. I'll let him say it.
Because I'm realizing, like, a big issue with my writing is saying something and just assuming that people understand what I mean. And
yeah, I mean, that was pretty fucking evident in the video that he made. He was asserting things and really not backing it up and kind of heavily assuming that people already know what he's talking about and already are going to agree to it with him. And that is kind of a common issue that I have picked up on in a lot of, I guess you could say lefty spaces, is like this assumption that there's certain things that just won't go questioned, right? Obviously, this happens in any kind of an echo chamber type situation, whatever you would say. In Praise of Shadows is interesting to me because, as you guys who know me know, let's just say that my issues with In Praise of Shadows are certainly not that he's a leftist. It's that the way that he went about making a hit piece was the pinnacle of fucked up, in the sense of he did not do a good job. So my critique is not so much like, I disagree with everything you stand for, you're a piece of shit, all this shit. It's like, wow, what you set out to do, you failed at massively. And so yes, you need to course correct and change if you want to ever, be respected in this field, which it seems like he doesn't actually want to be a part of the commentary scene. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of understand what he is taking from all of the criticism he received. And yeah, I mean, at this point, like, it's pretty like, of course, dude, you gave really bad context to a lot of stuff in that video, so it makes sense that
especially because I kind of am also guilty of making a lot of my work assuming wrongly that people are familiar with my past and my work as well. I kind of make every video, or did make every video, as a sequel to all of my previous work, and that.
Right. So yeah, he basically uses this to explain that he was making some references in that video that he got shit on for that were kind of inside references, you know what I mean? Like, he was kind of referring back to older videos where he backs up his claims, but then anybody watching it without any context is just like, what the kind of lateral connection is that? So I'll give you an example and I'll show you Oompaville's reaction.
That kind of came up twice.
What grade would I give him? I'm gonna give him, you're gonna have to see me after class, boy. You're gonna have to come after class and take a little private lesson. Yeah, I would probably give him a, realistically, I would give him like a 50 because he tried. He definitely tried. You know what I'm saying? But, whoa, at the very least, it's a learning experience, right? But yeah, the fact that he tried does make it almost worse, but, So yeah, sorry, what he's about to refer to is something that was so confusing to me, but it now makes a bit more sense.
With the bad conservative horror movie video. One was an offhanded mention to Lovecraft that I talked about, where people are like, what the f*** is he talking about? And
me.
Because I had made like a 2-hour video about Lovecraft in the past, I felt like I could just make an offhanded, quick one-sentence reference to Lovecraft and it not be a big deal, and not explain it. You know what I mean? Because I just assumed people will get what I'm talking about because of that video. And another big one that came with is when I talked about race in Appalachia.
Yeah.
A lot of people weirdly thought that I was Northern or not from Appalachia. People were saying.
Right. So I'll actually show you Oompaville's reaction to what he had to say about race in Appalachia, because I think that Oompaville's reaction is fair, especially obviously lacking context and whatever. And I like Oompaville, so let's ride the line. Oompa stands. Stand with me.
According to the latest census, there are only 23 black people who live in Maggie Valley. There are 15 Native Americans despite it touching the reservation. Most of this area used to be sundown towns. It is about as white as you could possibly get. Deep Appalachia is very white country, and for the most part, is exceptionally racist.
So this is that original video, Bad Conservative Horror, which Oompaville is reacting to.
Genuinely in this part of the country, you have to assume that any white person you meet is racist unless they show you otherwise.
Okay, and that's where I check out. That's where I check out, and I felt very strongly about that part specifically because, like,
Yeah, it's that's a harsh take.
all things considered, it was very bad. Very bad. Sorry, I got a little triggered by the Appalachian part, the Appalachian people all being racists until proven otherwise part. This is how he ends the chapter.
I care deeply about horror, and everything that he does has demonstrated so far in his career that he should not be welcomed in our spaces, or even, just in public in general.
What is
That's crazy. So wild to be reminded of
that
that.
even supposed to mean? You shouldn't
It means he needs to die. No, I'm just kidding.
welcome in public. He's nicer than you are.
Yeah. Oh, man.
He's done more good objectively than you have. Well, actually, maybe as a result of this video showing everyone your true colors and your hand that you showed incredibly early, that you're just a sad, sour, angry man who is upset still at a video you posted 2 years ago, having a negative reaction and being bullied for it. Maybe this is good. Maybe he can say this stuff because he's
Okay, W and Pavil in the chat. But yes, that was basically the reaction of almost everybody, which was just like, bro, what the kind of priming is that? You're supposed to assume that everyone in this fucking town is racist. So yeah, basically he claims that he was basically making reference to a much longer video that he did.
Saying like, Appalachia sends its regards and shit like that. But like, I've lived in the Appalachian Mountains basically my whole life. And I made like a 2+ hour video explaining my complicated views of the American South with the Joanne Denton video, where I talked about how like I love North Carolina and how I've lived here my entire life and how much of an impact this place has had on me. But also to pretend that the South doesn't have a major problem with racism is like kind of insane. And I talk in that video about like the heavy Klan presence in areas of North Carolina. I talk about casual social racism and stuff like that. So like, I felt like I was okay to make a 1-sentence like throwaway thing because I'd already explained my position on that in the past. I don't hate Appalachians. I live here.
Yeah, I mean, that's that 1-sentence throwaway was like, so it was reckless, bro.
And I have chosen to live here for a long time now. And, the reaction to that in particular, I think, was really strong. And, there was also a lot of criticism saying that, like, I didn't handle the situation gracefully. Which I didn't. But also I'd like to see anybody that would,
Yeah, I mean, there are people who would. Not many, but there are, okay? And so, I don't know. Yeah, I think that that's like a cope, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like you should take a little bit more, ownership of however you reacted.
Things got really intense there. My entire town a few weeks ago was basically destroyed from the hurricane. And like there were like tweets still 5 months later saying, well, at least In Praise of Shadows probably died in that. Things were really, really hot and uncomfortable.
Understandable. I mean, dude, it's crazy how fucking nuked this guy got. Anyway, here's him kind of addressing the whole, like, because there's people who actually got vibes that he was kind of like being basically kind of classist, or he was kind of shitting on low-income people, claiming that they're like racist or kind of write-offs. And so here's his response to that.
I think that everybody should have their needs met no matter what they believe. As far as like reviews are concerned, I am gay, and with that comes
He's gay.
like a certain level of snobbery with like the arts and
Associating being gay with snobbery is fucking hilarious.
I am gay, and with that comes like a certain level of snobbery with like the arts and stuff like that. But because I like have high expectations of works of art does not mean that I hate poor people. Okay, I don't think that certain people should be in power. I don't think that certain people should have social power. And in that, I kind of want to get into the conservative video itself. Okay, so in the like hating poor people thing, apparently I also don't like normal guys. And like the thing
Right, this was he's referring to the, the overarching critique of Shoe on Head, which is like, Wendigoon's a normal fucking, pretty average kind of American type guy, you know what I mean? A lot of people like him, and this, in Praise of Shadows basically found ways to just fucking hate that.
thing that's kind of funny about that is that like kind of this whole situation came about because I was a normal guy. So like I'm notoriously difficult.
Okay, bro. I don't think you're a normal guy. Not saying that for any reason other than I know the type of person it takes to make videos as long as you do. I am that type of person. It disqualifies you from being a normal person, in my opinion.
Difficult to get a hold of. And that's because I'm not really online at all. I don't tweet. I genuinely don't spend much time on Twitter at all. I don't have any other social media. But before this, I was getting on Discord like once every like 6 months. For the most part, I'm not friends with
Like, I don't know. I really don't understand. Like, just because you don't like casually, I guess, go online all that much or whatever, doesn't mean that you're not fixated and terminally online. Like, doesn't mean that almost every aspect of your life doesn't kind of orient toward being online. You know what I mean? Let's see what I guess he has to say though.
other
Like, your job is being a fucking YouTuber. You're already gonna be hella online.
online content creators. I probably watch in between 3 and 5 YouTube videos a month. And that is not like a dig at other YouTubers. That's not saying
Yeah, what you're basically saying is that you don't have much context for the fucking YouTube ecosystem, which was very fucking obvious based on the way that you formulated your arguments, okay? But that doesn't mean you're not online, bro.
they don't make excellent work because there's a lot of great work on YouTube. But like it comes to like this thing where like back when I used to make comics, I would draw comics all day, and the last thing I'd want to do when I finished drawing for 10 hours would be to like pick up comics and read them before I went to bed.
That's understandable. That's understandable. Yeah, with everything, this shit becomes a job. Like, even for me to watch drama content nowadays, like, that used to be, I guess, kind of like, I don't know, an outlet for me. Now, watching drama content is work. Like, it just is. Like, it's not, a complaint. It's literally just what it is. You know what I mean? So, what he's saying is coherent. I get it. You don't watch that many YouTube videos, but that does not fucking mean that you are not online.
Like I didn't want my
I imagine you probably listen to a bunch of fucking podcasts, you know what I mean? There's probably a lot of shows or movies that you watch. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of the opinions you stated in that video definitely, at the very least, they imply like a kind of a desocialization to a degree, I think, in my opinion.
But then I started making videos, and I make videos all day long, and I don't want to like turn around and then like watch more YouTube videos. So like when I say I don't watch like a lot of YouTube, it's not to put down other creators, but just to try and to explain how this situation happened. Because
yeah, okay, fair enough. Like, that makes sense, bro. I believe you. I believe that you don't watch that much YouTube.
why is kind of self-apparent. And so when you're not an online person, but you feel compelled to write a piece about online culture, looking at it from a distance, trying to figure out what is real, it's a different kind of research. And I totally was not the guy to do that job. I felt like it was important. I felt like nobody else would do it. And I knew that the reaction was not going to be good. I knew it was going to be bad. So kind of most of my mistakes and problems came from that, though. Because like I didn't know who Sneeko was before I made that video. And I didn't really know who he was when I posted that video. And so while it's like really serious, and I admit that, and I am sorry, I took the video down like...
Yeah, so what he's referring to is he used a baseless accusation from Sneeko, basically, to put down BrandonBuckingham, okay? Now, that was a fucked up part of the video. There's a lot of dumb shit in relation to BrandonBuckingham. This guy did fuck up, okay? He is apologizing for that right here, okay? Even if it doesn't feel like an apology, he is apologizing for that. But basically, like, this guy who claims again to be a leftist and kind of holds a certain line, he propped up an accusation from Sneeko as though it was, credible, which is not really credible, in order to kind of tear BrandonBuckingham down a peg. Now, I want to point out, okay, first of all, a lot of people have been shitting on this guy, upload, and look, I get why, I understand, but look, at this point, bro, I think that let him fucking develop, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to cause any fucking more problems, I don't think, and I do think he has learned a decent amount of lessons from this, okay? He does, I've maintained this line, he does actually seem like a kind of decent guy, although absolutely fucking, certainly there's some kinks to, you know, iron out or whatever. He seems like a sincere, I guess, guy, is the way to put it. But I just want to point out, okay, on top of all these comments getting on him, all right, there's a lot of comments basically telling him that this is a shit apology. It's like no accountability, whatever. Brandon Buckingham himself did comment. He said, "We all forgive you. I hope you are well, and we would all love to non-ironically collab with you in Texas. It's nice to see even Brandon Buckingham, who is usually a little bit more, I guess, cagey, or he's like a little more raw, unfiltered, right? He's taking the route of forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? Respect, bro." We have an update, okay, for the Embrace of Shadows situation. Wendigoon himself, the individual whom Embrace of Shadows did try basically to make, I guess, a hit piece against, has come out on Twitter and said, "In the name of Appalachians coming together after the hurricane, I want it to be known that Embrace of Shadows reached out to me and apologized. I believe him to be genuine and fully accept his apology. We're both Christians from the mountains, and that's all that matters." So, look, Mr. Embrace of Shadows seems to have had a fortunate turn in fate. His crimes have been forgiven, whatever you want to say. Okay, he did get dunked on hard as hell, probably the hardest I've ever seen. But, you know, the people, and especially the person who he kind of directed the most, I guess you could say, anger or resentment toward, okay, Wendigoon and Brandon Buckingham, those two actors, they have basically had a reconciliatory vibe toward him. All right, so good end to the Embrace of Shadows saga, all right? It's rare we get a wholesome wrap-up to a situation like that. I'm actually very glad to see it, okay? Shout out Wendigoon, shout out Brandon Buckingham, shout out Embrace of Shadows. I'd still love to interview you, for the record, okay? I'd love to have a conversation, and it does not even need to be about any of this bullshit, okay? Sincerely. So, hit me up if you're interested. God bless. He's, like, I remember, it was especially Wendigoon. Wendigoon seemed like almost completely fucking unfazed, even though he was the center of the kind of controversy or whatever you'd say, because he was basically just like, bro, I mean, I don't have a problem with you, bro. It's all good, you know? Anyway, and so Embrace of Shadows' response is, "Thanks, man. I should have never said that about you and really fucked up there. Genuinely very sorry again and appreciate you reaching out. I hope you are doing well too." Aw, that's nice. That's a nice way to wrap up the arc, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Now, this guy, okay, he does go on to say something that I don't know how I feel about it. Let's just put it like that.
Of how this happened, because at the end of the day, everything's fine. You know,
Yeah.
I fucked up, but also nobody that I mentioned in that video was harmed at all. You know, everybody's doing fine. And
That's like, I wouldn't probably have said that, okay? Because especially if this is a video where you're like kind of taking accountability, which is not really. It's not really. You know what I mean? It's more about him just kind of elucidating what he feels like he has learned. But effectively exonerating yourself on the basis that, like, you know, it all worked out fine. Their life wasn't fucked up or whatever. It's a little bit of a cope. It's a cop-out, whatever you would say. Like, it's basically a way for you to kind of not fully digest, I think, accountability, you know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, I fucked that up, but, you know, no harm, no foul. You know, Brandon Buckingham, certainly his mental was a little bit affected by that, yeah. And here's the thing. I do think, to a degree, he's kind of correct. Like, no harm, no foul, I do think that's a real kind of philosophy that I can understand, you know what I mean? It's not that big of a fucking deal. At the end of the day, look, I've been consistent on this. This guy got fucking punched into the ground, okay? He got punted. And so there was, I would say, a cause and effect, okay? He got kind of, you know, in any way, whatever he deserves, okay? You know what I mean? But to say that, like, because nobody's life got ruined because of my video, that it's not that big of a deal, I don't know if I fully fucking agree, you know what I mean? It means something, all right? Anyway, he probably agrees with that. I don't know. It is a bit of a weird thing to say. Although, yeah, I mean, this is not the end of your life. Like, the stakes are not that fucking high. You're good, you know? But, yeah, you definitely took a lot of lickings.
And that's kind of like how that genre of YouTube works anyways. The whole
Yeah, he's basically talking about the drama sphere, how it's a culture industry thing.
drama machine ultimately just exists for money. And
Hey man, not for all of us, okay? Some of us make drama content because it's our calling and because we want to make a better place in this world. And some of us are also fucking delusional, but it's not all for money. But yeah, of course, most of it is. It's a fucking cesspool, but that's another rant.
I shouldn't have been a part of that.
I mean, you could have been a part of it, but next time make a better fucking hippies. How about that?
I shouldn't have contributed to that. I felt like there were important points to make. I did not word them well.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
I had no fucking chill. I
I had no chill. That's also facts.
could have done pretty much everything in that better, but you live and learn.
True. I'll let him just leave it at that because that's
Saying
facts.
that I was jealous, and that's why
So, okay, here's the last thing I want to kind of address with this video. He kind of copes about the whole, like, jealous thing. Because that was a big critique a lot of people were levying, which is like, this guy's clearly jealous of Wendigoon. I didn't necessarily say I don't think that he was jealous. I framed it as resentful, okay? He was resentful toward Wendigoon, and not just because of Wendigoon, but probably because of his own life being a little bit unfulfilling. He kind of tries to deny that a little bit. I'll let him say his piece.
I was making that video. And I just want to say, I am not a jealous man. And
Sir, I want you to know, we are all jealous people, okay? There's degrees to it, of course, but you need to be careful because when you start assuming things like that about yourself, that's when you get some blind spots.
I never have been. I have never made a single video on YouTube to chase trends. I have never made a
That has no relevance, my friend. In fact, that might be a source of your resentment.
video because someone made a popular video like that. That is not the kind of guy that I am. And I never will be. I've always made what I think is interesting, what I am compelled to do, what I think is right to do.
I believe you. I believe you. However, trust me when I say that oftentimes the most dangerous people are not those who are like consciously evil or whatever. The most dangerous people are the people who think that what they are doing is morally correct, just, sanctioned by God, right? And don't even fucking question whether they're channeling their own hatred, desires, resentment upon those that they are inflicting justice upon, okay? Now, that's, again, very grandiose language, but I mean this to say, you acted in fucking resentful manners in that video, okay? If you're trying to claim that there was no, like, channeling of resentment, that you didn't take some of the stress and frustration and fucking disappointment in your own life and with your own career, with the kind of differential between how successful Wendigoon is versus yourself, you are coping. You are lying to yourself. Now, of course, okay, whatever. I gotta say, like, I don't know you personally, all this, but look, I've fucking created a hit piece about people and done it successfully, unlike you, okay? And the only reason that I can fucking keep, in my opinion, sane, or that I really actually was able to go through with these hit pieces, was acknowledging and just being fucking aware of the fact that I was making them as a means to channel resentment, okay? This is a super common fucking thing on YouTube. A lot of people will make videos that are absolutely resentful, that do channel negative fucking energy, and they'll package it as though, I am the crusader. I am acting the just moral fucking beacon. And I'm not claiming that you're doing that, but you gotta be fucking careful. You gotta be more aware of your own fucking behavior, actions, and sentiment, because you were acting out of resentment in that video. Just don't lie to yourself about that. You don't have to admit that publicly, whatever. I understand, but be careful.
I can definitely work on my tone with critical pieces.
Yeah, it's not just about tone, bro. It's not just about fucking tone. Your tone was like, don't get me wrong, but it's not about tone. Like, your tone wasn't angry, really. It was pretty baseline. But alas, the actual content, what you were literally saying, it just revealed your hand. And on top of that, he basically acknowledges that he could cite his sources better. Obviously, that was a massive fucking issue with his video, was like he would make claims about people and then not show proof. Like he would claim that Wendigoon said X and then not actually have a screenshot to show like, oh, here's him saying X, which in the commentary sphere is just fucking stupid as hell, right? And just generally, right? Like if you're going to try and make an argumentation type video, like why the fuck would you skimp out on the supporting evidence? But yeah, to bring it to a close, this is him saying sorry and kind of, wrapping it up.
So it is what it is. People can think what they want of me. I will
Fair enough.
continue to do better. And that's
I like that.
kind of where I'm at right now. I'm sorry for everything. Genuinely, where I fucked up, for not having any chill, for just being a kind of an asshole. So I guess that's where I'm going to leave this. I'm going to be doing more videos.
Right. That's basically what he's saying. He ends up saying he's going to make more videos on the second channel. But yeah, I like this ending, okay? This is the good ending in my opinion. You scroll down, Brandon Buckingham, the person who you could argue he really wronged the most, aside from Wendigoon, basically says, we all forgive you, okay? Speaking on behalf of most of the people that this guy talked about, right? Wendigoon, again, the number one person that he apparently, wronged or whatever, he also took the route of basically being like, it's all good, bro. So, as far as you're concerned as a viewer, you should not give a fuck about this guy going forward. You shouldn't shit on him. You shouldn't comment on his videos, negative things. I think this guy should be left to develop. You know what I mean? Maybe watch his videos, maybe don't. Do whatever the fuck you want. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I'm kind of on the wagon, I want to see this guy level up. And so, please, reach out to me. Let's have a fun conversation, okay? I'm at a time in my life when fun conversation is truly a thing that entices. And I think for good reason, because it's actually quite rare to have, in my opinion, like a real interesting conversation. Especially when it's with someone who you might never have even talked to, you know what I mean? So, Mr. In Praise of Shadows, if you're watching this, thank you for watching this, okay? And for those of you who are watching right now, okay, I actually read the essay that Mr. In Praise of Shadows based his channel's name off of, okay? For those who don't know, In Praise of Shadows is actually a reference to a Japanese man's essay, okay, 1933 essay, all right? And so I was intrigued. I was so intrigued in this guy's arc. Not only did I fucking give him money on his Patreon, it was $1, okay? Please. Not only did I do that to see where he was at, if he was okay, I want to see for the hurricane, okay? What can I say? But I also took the time and actually read this fucking thing. And for those watching the clip right now, you can actually go and listen to this entire essay, okay? I read it out loud into the mic. So if you'd like some Gokanaru ASMR, all right, and listen to an interesting essay, a piece of Japanese culture and history, you can go by clicking the link that is on the screen or whatever. So yeah, but it's a 1933 essay on Japanese aesthetics by the Japanese author Junichiro Tanizaki, and I think it's cool, and I would like to talk about this with In Praise of Shadows, so please, dude, reach out. And if you don't, fuck you. I love you. Bye.